The morning light filtered through the tall windows of Harper's Diner, casting golden streaks across the worn wooden floors. Sarah Mitchell adjusted her hood and pulled her gray sweatshirt tighter around her shoulders as she stepped inside. The familiar scent of coffee and bacon filled the air, mixing with the gentle hum of conversation from the handful of early customers scattered throughout the rustic restaurant. Sarah had discovered this place 3 weeks ago, quite by accident. She had been driving aimlessly through the small town of Millbrook, trying to escape the suffocating world of board meetings and corporate decisions that defined her life in the city. As the CEO of Mitchell Industries, a billion-dollar technology company she had inherited from her father, Sarah rarely had moments of peace. But here, dressed in simple clothes with no makeup and her blonde hair pulled back carelessly, she could almost pretend to be someone else entirely. The diner buzzed with the comfortable energy of a place where everyone knew everyone. Farmers in worn denim discussed crop yields over steaming mugs of coffee. A group of teachers shared stories about their students while picking at plates of eggs and toast. In the corner, an elderly couple sat in comfortable silence, reading sections of the newspaper to each other. Sarah chose a table near the window, the same spot she had claimed during her previous visits. She liked watching the town slowly come to life through the glass, seeing children walk to school with backpacks bouncing against their small frames, and neighbors greeting each other with genuine warmth on the sidewalk. "Good morning," came a familiar voice. Sarah looked up to see Jake, the server who had taken care of her during each visit. He was probably in his early 30s, with kind brown eyes and the sort of genuine smile that seemed increasingly rare in her usual world of business dealings and networking events. Jake wore the standard uniform of the diner, a simple button-down shirt with rolled sleeves and dark pants. But there was something about the way he carried himself that caught Sarah's attention. Despite the obvious exhaustion in his eyes, he moved with purpose and treated every customer with the same careful attention. "The usual?" he asked, pulling a notepad from his pocket. Sarah nodded. "Please, and thank you for remembering. Hard to forget someone who orders a ribeye steak at 8 in the morning," Jake said with a gentle laugh. "Medium rare, with a side of scrambled eggs and wheat toast." As Jake headed toward the kitchen, Sarah settled back into her chair and pulled out her phone. Even here, in this peaceful refuge, the demands of her company followed her. 17 missed calls from her assistant, 43 unread emails, and a text message marked urgent from her head of operations. She sighed and set the phone face down on the table. Just 20 more minutes, she told herself. 20 minutes to pretend she was just another customer in a small-town diner, not someone whose decisions affected thousands of employees and millions in revenue. From across the room, she could hear Jake talking quietly with an older woman at the counter. His voice carried a note of concern as he discussed something about school supplies and upcoming expenses. Sarah found herself listening, drawn to the genuine care in his tone. When Jake returned with her coffee, Sarah noticed the slight tremor in his hands as he set down the mug. Up close, she could see the dark circles under his eyes more clearly, and the way his shirt, though clean and pressed, showed signs of repeated washing. "Everything all right?" she asked softly. Jake paused, surprised by the question. For a moment, his professional composure slipped, revealing a glimpse of the weight he carried. But then the smile returned, practiced and automatic. "Of course," he said. "Just a long week. Your steak will be right out." As Jake moved away, Sarah found herself watching him more closely. She noticed how he lingered an extra moment at tables where elderly customers sat alone, making sure they had everything they needed. How he ruffled the hair of a young boy whose mother was counting coins to pay for their breakfast. How he moved efficiently, but never rushed, giving each person his full attention despite the obvious strain he was under. 20 minutes later, Jake appeared with her order. The steak was perfectly cooked, the eggs fluffy, the toast golden brown. As he set the plate down, he hesitated for a moment, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded piece of paper. "I know this might seem strange," he said quietly, glancing around to make sure no other customers were watching, "but I wanted to give you this." Sarah took the note, her fingers brushing against his briefly. There was something vulnerable in his expression, as if he was taking a risk he wasn't sure he should take. "You don't have to read it now," Jake added quickly. "Or at all, really. I needed to say something." He walked away before Sarah could respond, leaving her holding the small piece of paper. Her hands shook slightly as she unfolded it, unsure of what to expect. The handwriting was careful, each letter formed with obvious thought. Asterisk, "I don't know who you are, but I can see you're carrying something heavy. I recognize that look, because I wear it too. My daughter Emma starts kindergarten next month, and I've been working 3 jobs trying to save enough for her school clothes and supplies. Some days I wonder if I'm failing her, if I should be doing more, being better. But watching you these past few weeks, seeing how you treat people with kindness, even when you think no one is watching, reminds me that good people exist. You've made this hard time a little easier just by being decent. Thank you for that. I hope whatever you're carrying gets lighter soon. Jake asterisk." Sarah stared at the note, reading it twice, then a third time. Her throat tightened, and she felt the sting of unexpected tears. When was the last time someone had seen past her defenses, recognized her struggle, without knowing anything about her circumstances? She looked up to find Jake watching her nervously from behind the counter. Their eyes met across the room, and she saw him tense, probably worried he had overstepped some invisible boundary. Sarah stood up slowly, the note still clutched in her hand. She walked to the counter where Jake was refilling sugar dispensers, his movements quick and anxious. "Jake," she said softly. He looked up, and she could see the regret already forming in his expression. "I'm sorry if I—" "How old is Emma?" Sarah interrupted. The question seemed to catch him off guard. She's 5. Just turned 5 last month. And she starts school in a few weeks." Jake nodded, confusion clear in his eyes. "Yes, but listen, I shouldn't have." Sarah reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. Not one of her CEO cards, but a simple white card with just her name and phone number. She pressed it into his hand, along with several folded bills. "This should cover Emma's school supplies," she said quietly. "And maybe a few new outfits, too." Jake looked down at the money in shock. "I can't accept this. I wasn't asking for—" "I know you weren't asking," Sarah said. "That's exactly why I'm giving it." She paused, studying his face. "You said you could see I was carrying something heavy. You were right. I've been so focused on my responsibilities, on making the right decisions for so many people, that I forgot what it felt like to make a simple choice from the heart." Jake's eyes widened as he processed her words. "You're not just someone who orders steak for breakfast?" Sarah smiled, the first genuine smile she'd felt in weeks. "No, but that's exactly who I want to be when I come here. Someone who can sit in a small-town diner and remember what really matters." She gestured to the note still in her other hand. "You reminded me that kindness doesn't require knowing someone's story. It just requires seeing them as human. Your daughter is lucky to have you, Jake. And this town is lucky too." As Sarah headed toward the door, Jake called after her. Will you still come for breakfast?" She turned back, pulling her hood up against the morning chill. "Every Tuesday," she promised. "Same table, same order. And I'd love to hear how Emma's first day of school goes." Outside, Sarah walked slowly to her car, Jake's note carefully tucked into her pocket. The weight on her shoulders felt different now, not lighter exactly, but more purposeful.